has the details.
Heavy rains on October 31st triggered floods that swept through major trading arcades in downtown Kampala. KCCA directors and the Lord Mayor met affected traders at City Hall to discuss possible interventions. At the tense meeting, the KCCA executive director revealed that the first assessment report on the cause of the floods was being finalized. Traders decry massive losses and called on government to probe the downtown rental system, which they say complicates the process of determining rightful compensation beneficiaries.
Kubanga amaduuka gano gabaddewo emyaka tunuulira ekizimbe nga kwaliseero kyazimbibwa ebbanga ddeneko emabega kati bw'ojja ng'olinamu akasenteko oyagala kusuubula osanga nga eyakwata edduuka eryo talitya so kati olina okugula kye bayita goodwill amaduuka gali miliyoni 7.
Ettiimu ey'ababiri abo.
They urged the government to engage banks, URA and landlords to create repayment buffers for loans, tax obligations and rent schedules. A section of traders under their umbrella body, the Kampala Arcades Traders Association, KATA, took legal action, suing the National Environment Management Authority, the Kampala Capital City Authority, businessman Hamis Chigundu, and his company Kiham Enterprises for the damages caused by the floods.
Why we came to court today is to seek an injunction to stop whatever constructions or developments are ongoing. 2, for court to grant us to order compensatory remedies such that the affected traders can at least get something to see how they can start their livelihoods again.
Affected arcades include Pentagon City Plaza, Qualicel, Nana Center, French Plaza, Freedom Center, Nabukera Plaza, Premier Center and Totala. As developments continue to unfold, government agencies are under pressure to release a comprehensive report addressing accountability, compensation and long-term flood management in the city. Wadulo Arnold Mark for UBC Business Roundup.
Consumer protection policies and financial literacy programs have been identified as crucial in shielding individuals from financial risks. Experts say that putting such mechanisms in place will enhance the uptake of financial products and reduce poverty. Charlotte Muge reports.
The 2025 Annual Financial Inclusion Forum, organized by the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development in collaboration with the Bank of Uganda, was held under the theme, Access to Usage, Advancing Inclusive Financial Product Uptake in Uganda. Participants drawn from the public and private sectors, along with development partners, identified digital platforms as a major catalyst for financial inclusion.
We need to note that a bank account that lies dormant or credit that remains untapped does not fuel growth. True empowerment lies in the active, informed, and sustained usage of financial tools, saving products that build resilience, credit that fuels enterprise, development and growth, insurance that mitigate risk, and investment that secure their future.
Despite this progress, experts note that more effort is needed to strengthen financial literacy and rebuild public trust in formal financial institutions to encourage the uptake of quality financial products beyond basic transactions.
The issue is not access, but how are we using it, the quality of utilization of those platforms. Now, in terms of inclusive finance as a catalyst for shared prosperity, Honorable Minister, financial inclusion is more than opening an account. It should enable people to participate fully in economic activity, and in a country where women, youth, persons with disability, refugees, and rural communities continue to face barriers, we need to do something here.
To further tackle financial exclusion and ease barriers to access, government is urging financial institutions and stakeholders to prioritize inclusive gender finance, a move aimed at reducing poverty and accelerating economic development.
We need to cover the gender gap as well, because about 14% gap we have is one of the largest in the world. The men versus women. Finiscope showed us that the proportion of men with access to finance are 80%, women 66%. We must close this gender gap. But as I've told you, we close it with the practical solutions informed by those empirics I've shown.
Charlotte Amoge for UBC.
In more news, African pension sector players have been urged to decisively shape the continent's future and ensure that the legacy they leave behind is one of self-reliance, prosperity, and true economic emancipation. Dennis Segoa has the details.
With collective assets exceeding $400 billion, African pension funds have the power to reshape the continent's economic landscape, emphasized the Prime Minister Robin Anabanja while officially opening the All Africa Pension Summit.
No investor can be attracted to any economy to make losses. In Uganda, the National Social Security Fund has evolved from just a saving account into a contributor to the national development. Today, NSSF Uganda is a major investor in affordable housing, renewable energy, etc. This is a step in the right direction.
Her remarks were echoed by Betty Amongi, the Minister of Gender, Labour and Social Development.
Your fiduciary duty is paramount, and rightly so. You are ensuring security of the fund for our citizens' retirements. But I ask you, where is the greatest security? The more sustainable return than in the tangible growth and stability of our continent? Where is the greatest fulfillment of your duty than investing in the very fabric of the society that entrusted you with managing these funds?
Speakers noted that tapping into this massive yet largely untapped pension resource could help address the mounting foreign debt burden facing many African countries.
So what we intend to get out of this? One, it's a learning. Before we can use pension funds, we need to deepen the coverage. We need to get more money. We need to widen the pot. So part of the learnings is, how do we widen this pot? How does NSSF Uganda widen the pot of savings?
I think financial literacy is important, and we need to start financial literacy, as has been mentioned in many forums, right from school. When we have financial literacy, you're able then to understand and appreciate that there are many products other than the usual investment of caplot that we can invest our money in.
They also stressed that as the world evolves, the old models of development dependent on external capital and often shaped by foreign interests are no longer sufficient. There is therefore a need for Africa to find financial solutions from within.
We must unlock and leverage the billions of shillings our citizens save each year. Properly structured pension capital coupled with insurance products is the ideal instrument that is going to help us to finance these priorities.
Participants from across the continent pledged to strengthen social security systems by enhancing robust regulatory frameworks, enhancing transparency, and ensuring that pension funds remain solvent and continue to grow stronger The overdependency of African countries on external financiers to support capital-intensive infrastructure projects has taken center stage during the discussions at the inaugural summit that has brought together pension players from across the African continent. Dennis Igoa for UBC.
Relatedly, the journey of empowerment for Africa's pension landscape has started right here in Kampala. With the wave of technological and digital transformation sweeping across the continent, there is a belief that this is the right moment to capture those still outside the pension coverage through innovative and inclusive models. Take a look.
In the quest to boost inclusion and coverage of the pension sector across the African continent, one hurdle stands in the way: the large informal sector that remain outside the pension protection. Experts say this calls for creative and adaptive solutions to bring these excluded groups on board.
There's a problem we have. When we termed the group informality, what did we mean? What do we mean by informality? That's what we thought. We thought that, like the border industry in Uganda, it's quite chaotic. In fact, the whole transport area where there's taxis, buses, border, they look like they're chaotic. And we think they are not formal because they are not registered. The question is, but with who? Each border driver in Uganda belongs to a stage. That stage has got a president, a treasurer, a secretary. And that border guy has to be registered with that stage, including giving them their contact details, sometimes LC letters, phone numbers, names. So how can we say they're not formal? You get my point? Yeah. So we got a chance to interact with them. We talked with these border guys, and it opened our eyes. This is a whole market that we are neglected. Now, the leaders did something amazing, at least for Uganda. They had figured it out. They said, So the campaign now going is for the price of save one chapati a day. In Uganda shillings, that's 1,000 shillings a day. Because they figured out by the time the border man eats his breakfast, eats his lunch, has his tea, has his evening, whatever it is, he spent about 22,000 shillings. So they're telling that, just save one chapati, save 1,000 shillings. Their goal is saving with the fund. The guy wants to bring 1 million borders saving 1,000 shillings a day. That's 1 billion shillings a day. How can he ignore that group? And by the way, you can go to everything, salon people, the farmers. How many villages have circles? And farmers doing circles and they have registered. So we made a mistake and adopted the meaning of informality based on our own misunderstanding of our people.
In Uganda, like in several countries in Africa, the growth in population is by far faster than the growth of the economy. So what's happening, you are getting a poorer country, yes. Unemployment, poverty. The government is not addressing these issues of fertility, and especially now we have longer life expectancy. So people are living longer, but living longer poorer. And
which is very
these
dangerous.
are issues that I think governments have to address. It's not the problem of social security organization, but it's the problem of policy makers to really see what's happening. You cannot compare with countries where the fertility rate is different than the fertility rate in Africa. So these are issues that has to be looked at to solve the economy of Africa.
There is also a growing conversation among the summit participants on how pension funds can be leveraged to finance infrastructure and green projects in Africa. But the question remains, how feasible is this without compromising member safety and
we're still in the
returns?
early stages, but these discussions are normally ongoing. You never stop engaging the government. Ideally, what you see is that the government budgets are heavily constrained. Balancing between social needs and, the long-term development objectives. You talk of physical infrastructure and so on and so forth. And then also, as I mentioned earlier, the development assistance as well has reduced significantly.
Yes.
So increasingly, we are seeing governments now becoming a bit more, for lack of a better word, they are increasingly engaging the pension funds to say, why don't you invest in infrastructure opportunities locally? Because they actually rightly acknowledge that this is patient capital And what we tell them is that patient capital actually doesn't mean that it shouldn't earn a return.
Yes.
We are telling them that yes, it is patient capital, but it needs to move into the right vehicles and it needs to generate a return for the members, because ultimately that is the key objective for which these funds were set from the onset. So as pension funds, we are saying, can we work together, come up with, you know, the incentives that we need, develop the vehicles that are required, that can now allow us to invest in a way that protects the members' funds, because that is critical.
Kampala Entebbe Expressway, I think it costs Uganda about $450 million. Where did the money come from? China. Are we together? Suppose NSF had put in $50 million. Now all the money you're paying through that toll, some of it would be staying where? Was it a good investment with the Chinese? Yes. In fact, they tell us that that road will break even next year. You get it, eh? So whereas we shy away from that and not even look at it, the point is, take a look at it also as a local investor, and then see how you can play a part in that. You can't, NSF cannot do the entire $459 million by itself. No. But if I put $50 million there, I can now attract other capital, and we do it together.
According to analysts, this inaugural All-Africa Pension Summit in Kampala is a critical milestone for the continent's social security and financial sustainability agenda. However, only time will tell whether the rhetoric here will translate into concrete action. Dennis Igoa for UBC.
Pipeline works at the Tilenga oil field have now reached a critical phase, linking the oil wells in the north with those on the south of the Nile. A field visit to the site operated by Total Energies reveals that construction works are at an advanced stage despite the spate of rains.
This is the point where the crude oil pipeline from the northern side of the River Nile, precisely within Murchison Falls National Park, will be connected to the main crude oil pipeline on the southern side of the Nile. It is part of a wider network that terminates at the Tilenga Central Processing Facility.
North of Victoria Nile, you have the biggest field called Jobberi. And what you see, the black pipeline, is the pipeline which is evacuating oil from the northern field, which is Jobberi. Then the blue, smaller pipeline, that one transports water to Jobberi, because as we withdraw oil, you have to replace oil with water. You need to stabilize the well. But also, these wells are shallow wells, and they cannot push oil by themselves, by natural means. So you have to inject water to create pressure so that oil can come out easily.
In an exclusive interview with UBC, Frank Mugisha, a commissioner at the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development, explained the technical complexities of the process and how the heated crude oil will be transported from the northern wells to the storage facilities in the south. From there, it will begin its over 1,500-kilometer journey from Bulisa to Tanga, passing through the Kabale Industrial Park reservoirs.
This pipe, the horizontal drilling, is done beneath the flow of River Nile, some meters beneath River Nile. So it doesn't affect at all the flow of the water of the Victoria Nile. So it just comes out where Jobberi is. Yes, it is the latest technology where you can do horizontal drilling instead of vertical drilling. Otherwise, before the technology came into action, you'd only do vertical drilling.
These ongoing activities are key in supporting the downstream affairs of Uganda's oil and gas sector, which, according to the project timeline, is expected to commence in the second half of 2026.
So the progress here is, as you see it, the number of key equipment that have been put in place. If you see these huge pipes or stacks, those are your gas turbines. So the gas that will be coming out of gas turbine generators, you'll hear an acronym, GTGs. Those are the ones that will generate the power that will run the CPF and the other equipment, the well pads and the flow lines, the heating of the pipelines, and others. So those are the getting-ins. They are 4 in number.
Once production begins, 230,000 barrels of oil will be pumped daily for about 5 years, a period during which government revenue is expected to rise significantly.
A common person, he may not understand what is the barrel. Barrel is around 157 liters. One barrel is about 157 liters. And so what value, what in terms of monetary terms, how much does government is likely to accrue to government in terms of monetary terms? Our calculations show that on a daily basis, we are likely to get about 10 billion Uganda shillings every day. Yes,
That's
10 billion.
Optimally operating.
Yes, optimally operating. That is after 1 year. You are likely to get about 10 billion Uganda shillings. And how does this come about? From royalty.
On the international scene, South Africa has launched its first artificial intelligence factory in collaboration with Altron and NVIDIA, aiming to boost innovation in healthcare, education, and finance. The facility enhances data security by processing data within national borders.
South Africa has long been a major technology consumer. Now it's leveling up with the launch of this AI factory developed in partnership with tech giant NVIDIA and launched by IT services company Altron.
Normal data centers was built for a specific workload, cloud data centers, normal infrastructure going into a data center. AI factory is specifically designed for AI workloads, and it's massive amount of compute in one space.
Large language models like ChatGPT and Google Gemini emerge from similar centers. Powered by NVIDIA, the South African facility will develop and train smaller models to enhance corporate and public services across several industries, including medicine, education, and finance.
The factory is providing everybody the platform to run their services on it. If you're an FSI, financial institution, your biggest challenge, or most of the challenges there, is cybersecurity or transactional data. If you're a bank, for example, the more transactions you can handle, the more money you can make.
Data is the new gold, and being able to process models locally keeps information under South African laws and within its borders.
African countries and African businesses and African people should own their data and own their AI, and the AI should serve their needs, not the needs of large corporations or individual millionaires.
There's no limit to what AI can achieve as it opens doors for African developers. The challenge for the continent, however, lies in the scale of investment, power, and water needed to sustain these AI factories. Julie Shara, CGTN, Cape Town.
In our Sounds of Business, we take you to Kingfisher Oilfield on the shores of Lake Albert. Take a look.
UBC inspiring Uganda.
Nateranga nyingiro ne banafa ba MTN wanji MTN walalo MTN gamachi to get the power to win njagalo ofuna elyanyi okuwangula ogenda kuwangula ota ngenda kubanga obukadde 10 buli wiki wanji ngenda kubanga kwasa obukadde 10 buli wiki ku simu ye nyinyi kyabonka kimu kyokka line ya MTN banabeka buli ogenda okusasula ekintu kyonna ogenda okusasula ntakwese momo obulira buli ogenda okusasula ngenda kyosasula kyonna kozesa momo oyinza okulonga ngenda kwewola kasente kozesa momo wanji ogenda ku investinga kozesa momo abwe MTN we jamani nekwa bukadde 10 buli wiki wala kastenyo bimala bwe pala wentandika ngamba kyekiriwo wanji nenkwata ku masimu ngamba halo walirudawa tinze tirinyi halo walirudawa zendi guru halo walirudawa ndi mutukula halo oliwa ndi mwanange ndi wano mu office ntudde nyiga ma computer nenkuta awa namwe kasana benesi okuberanga mwana wote koze ebintu amanga epeyinze ebolowinze investinze ngekozesa momo. Remember to dial *165# or use the momo app to borrow, to pay, to invest, and you could stand a chance to win 10 million weekly.
Fellow Africans, we stand at a defining moment for our health future. Across the continent, we face a rising disease burden, dwindling external financing, and fragile health systems that called for bold and united action. The inaugural Africa Health Summit that is taking place on the 14th of November at Kololo Ceremonial Grounds in Kampala brings together African ministers of health, technocrats, and policymakers to shape a new path, one rooted in innovation, solidarity, and self-reliance. Under the theme, Reclaiming Africa's Health Future, from Dependency to Sovereignty. This summit is more than a dialogue. It is a movement to strengthen local manufacturing, build scientific capacity, and ensure that Africa takes charge of our own health destiny. Join us as we work together to transform Africa's health systems for generations to come. I thank you.
Understanding AI and the power of data is still a complex subject in many organizations. That's why Task Managers, in partnership with Makerere University Business School, invite you to the second Data Analytics, Artificial Intelligence and Data Governance Symposium on November 11th, 2025 at the Sheraton Kampala Hotel. Join industry leaders, innovators and data professionals as we explore how AI and data analytics are revolutionizing businesses across the globe. The guest of honor will be Michael Atindi Ego, the Governor, Bank of Uganda, while the keynote speech will be delivered by Patrick Ayota, the Managing Director, NSSF. This symposium is your gateway to future-proof your organization through data-driven insights. Register now for only 300,000 Uganda shillings. This symposium is sponsored by NSSF, Next Media Group, Africa Data Age, and Pro Entertainment.
UBC, inspiring Uganda.
PDM, changing lives. Koboko district is nestled in the picturesque landscape of West Nile, where communities have embraced the Parish Development Model Program as a pathway to prosperity. Koboko district received 5.9 billion shillings from government for the Parish Development Model, with close to 956 enterprise groups in 59 parishes benefiting from this initiative. Beneficiaries selected enterprises such as coffee growing, goat rearing, maize farming, groundnut growing, and cassava growing, and they are doing well.
Koboko District local government consists of 11 sub-counties. This includes the town councils and the divisions in the municipality. It has 59 parishes, stroke wards. PDM was rolled out in Koboko in the financial year 2020-2021.
Parish Development Model is one of the initiatives and designed by His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, basically to address the gap, the income gap and the level of livelihood between the Ugandans. And according to statistics, it is between the 39% population that's lacking behind could not achieve their basic needs.
Sako Ligara after Ward 4 government amati Uganda drini in February Excellency, His Excellency President Uganda dri Yoweri Museveni Kaguta dri idine amani atitanga de fezo atitanga dine fe digara antandaro pamvula dakira pamvi dapdaki indrisar samadu dachi aku amadir kegara fan tundundo amano zori kisarsi feda amano ko afata amani uto sukuri kya musudikira after the government the Uganda dri no award for totona gapri His Excellency President Uganda dri Yoweri Museveni Kaguta ni atitanga dine fere samata I batanga dusendu supikuri amatava atitanga de I dika amana sinde dokeni ngone sako amadi ni uzozo emiva zodo dika.
The Parish Development Model is a lifeline for communities in Arua, providing them with the resources and opportunities to break free from the cycle of poverty.
Wandingola kara kondakilo kara madukawa ku tiuna ngurube, tiuna sokoro, ku banda, teiko, ku basala, ku mbaya. Na yezu PDM na ngola ga lobu, atikinda I teringi naga I kondini kita, I bengtoyu, naga members club do arumbi naga di PDM la toguse I tomo naga koro kitana je konda kenina toguse bazinga I kionda na beriki irumbi na ngolaga sososo bodo katani bobusinga na doma ibona ga ikilo modu tikina na ngolaga koro yani ke gaka juklo ikilo modu bazi kondanga na denga ramelio lo ku PDM na koro ya zade kukara sunyiki senda kine soso isala ga sososo ibona ga wandi senda kine sale sunye ibangena ga bo boga tikida yani kondingola ga soso ikodonya magadi kara kusuki senda kine soso bodo koro ko ale ai bona ga namba na ngoto na kikia dum do ko kara ala kisen do ko kijiki denga.
With the government funding, we aim to empower those trapped below the poverty line to join the financial economy and build better livelihoods for themselves and their families. These structures serve as the backbone of the PDM program, facilitating financial management, training, and support for community members to effectively utilize their resources.
Silaga irie ne kunu sendede yiboku member laga anyume imeda naga de rie naga kina de kido mindo dolu poda dinyo nyenaga da mamara naga di yiboku chairperson lo PDM ilo kuna kugeli yiboku wate naga committee board of governor kumeda kugeli sena kada meda mure gile aponda kudoto na de kawa kilo bokusu lakini ngola ga ringiro ngada teringini kana ga bai ka kilo bokusu tinade kidok moga na gadi kilo la kawala bazinga nga ingolo tani 1010 1000 meregele kilo nalo magwadi ngola ga nalo bilo gelena sende tena ga kusunye lokoni ka corona tusunye ni pero matiki ndai mai makunda pero mai kondi ngola ga lokokona
itikinda pepa le karatinda pepa kifilile ngola ga dumdo nyumdo lonyo ga nyumdo ka klo kawa sani ate na tika klo sela lobu ya filia forms kine ya sonyi duka skarangai kara processing nyena makara tikindi rie na kine rie kine na kama jibudu
nada ya kinde kine muda
rie na ya kine elf kama jibudu dumda na yomo itikina na ngutulo ikukuna na klo kawala kile dumda na mana dumdi ka klo na gadi togi silama PDM togi klo togu ya lobu itikina na ka klo kwa tora rumo kitinda ilo tudure itikina na bale beda lobu iwuda na balo
kulena dia don mutaji PDM kin
PDM alobu tikina ilo tudure yi anyola kupona na PDM na itikina na rie na tikina ilo tudure rie na kunde bajinga misani gbo kuyendo na gadi kawalaga ko naklo kui extend le ko bani angiri ori na ga kunde bajinga akuro mokiwe ya nyola ko duma alkalo president likalo itikina nai sene naga TPDM kine itikina nai lo tudure iko domdo nai okule penga utiningero kulingla maloko drui ekitaji naga eklo konda kine kateni.
The Deputy Chief Administrative Officer, Koboko, Harmane Joku, says the PDM initiative is committed to empowering community members to thrive.
I don't want people to look at PDM as it stands on its own. PDM is coming to give us a push. I am standing somewhere, I just need to be pushed. So it's about the mindset that people are going to have. But I must tell you that if as leaders at our level are able to educate people on how best they can choose enterprises and spend PDM money, we are sure that the vision of His Excellency of having the 39% move to the to the middle income state, to the money economy is very possible. But let's start changing our mindset ourselves as leaders and then be able to pass the right message to our people.
With the 1 million Uganda shillings per beneficiary and a 3-year repayment period, including a 2-year grace period, government is working towards the transformation of communities burdened by poverty.
And Ojatanga were Chimuke, Adonda Nyanadanico. Amobendigira, Sud Amabanya Chamobendigira, and Vera Magitamba, Diki Kemanamuke, Amwendike Gunga, Uziga Suchi, and Yamabe. The training of Manimu Suri, after for government of Uganda Dini, and Amani Titanga de Jido, Matate Ila. Akoni feda umbala awera le tati bididia
ko government la likalo Uganda lo de ngbana bubusina tina de lepenga tikinda diri wate kude kata mini ayunge akumeti sende na kine dai mokunda denge million gele kase kenini obedi kububusina lepenga kuram ya diri wonji wate kinena kabisa atekinda nyola ko wate kine telini tine wate kine domemeti karanga kuku dumelesi karanga kokonda biasara bedi biasara na nu da tekina karanga doboku nyola kas karanga ididing ni ibakata yo denga de kara pedi petes kasela kisenga jimelesi ngo atekinda wate kine bedi boku kinyi na kaju imude kata kine bedi karanga wite iparara kata bedi na deni kulia isende ki lo nangba na tikina president lika ngalo na gadi government lo iete koru itogu na toko sila kilode kodo kuro romo ke ani lepe ko tiki pete skude do alaki na kunu sende na kunde kodo ama ku gbedi milioni more I kunu sende de kio sende na kunde adiri atiki na wate kine bedi apure bo karanga atiki na bedi wate kine na gai wale kule pe gbedi joru ku gbedi so ka ku wosa ku gbedi so paka last be na malepe nga wudini na lepenga ka ku wosa misana atiki na kinyi kasekine angajo kuliata ku biasara kuliata na ku tioni ba bedi do de dena kidoko nenyo naga kaju imude kata na kine atiki na bedi apure pararakata bokuru kata ni yani lepenga dona gbiero ku lepenga na gadi lepe ka ku bobongo ni wate kine diri kine tina de wonji karana de ba bing to kine ku memeta tina de na wate kine tine bing to kilo wate na de ba bing to kilo landi akude kilo tine adum da beri karanga memeda gbotomo ni nade amaropa na ngaji skulu bai karanga girika ngo bedi ngote na ibakata nyena ngongota to bedi roba na skulu fees ama dawa ya bedi yote lepe na konda kulu ngotade okuru lepe kutoke to wate kine koru ilo ngola nalo magulo nyelo de
adoma jikaya group ni kana longa Amasi Enterprise Group nyumutila ga ya domarlo ikaje kudu fulu ifulu la mai doma dikile katani kabelanga yi tikisende kine ya lungu irumina training ya tiki training kaya sub county ni iwa kalo production lotogolo tikilo nagadi nyumutila mino nyumu pirnaga anabu kudo utuzi ikodu ma dodo gado adri amana togolla lude alogui atikinda ibonaga mairumin sena kinede kwa na kumugu na rumi laki bukie na kine katani benaga ikilo kajinaga itaun katana kudu na dani galadu milsingo kine kango adina rumi ni melisina naga kilomita singmani kango na rentia kota gele ikonta gele na nde katai sulija ibai kukuru bulogu ku nyumutila ga mana ku jonga de utulde na do gorundo isu so kaje senna ga na kokoro jikine bu worunyo naga iki ko imelisi katana toto lo bulaki msala ko alfu mera budo isena kine katani na atijilo nyumutu de bo sulija bo ayote nyelo jona toto la lude isala ga mana itu nyumutila ile mungu adogana iko tagena katana na rumi gutakilo mukana igutakila mukana kile katani na jona karanga na dea kilo kadini nalo mundu bangena ganabu benaga na deni kwa yenga ibangelo ya palom sala ingman ki deide belo nyomolo ikikija kilo nyomokwela gutiaki mukana klode na den na irumini seneta iyenga kwa laki bukie mera budo dengade kina ukunda naga imelisi naga jokuduku laki msala kwa alfu mera budo na irumini ilaki ifula gunyaki bukie kile ukata ni kujaki na silingi laki bukie kwa alfu mera budo na gbera kufaida dodolo laki msala ina dekata na kulena gadi na kumetela gadi na wewe kiajo irumi na kotaki mure tinade na ganale yetu kodo ibangela kina to kodo yo ina melisina ina na den dodoga na kunyomoku de laga kutila mana medini kaje mane togolo nilo na romoki rumi kude fulu yenga gunyaki meregele ka konya mure de ngade so na den ibangela ile kata ni kinala ga kurumi kulfula kulde benaga nalo yetu tuzi sena kende ngaikelo kikitaji nina ibangena kingaji ka mure musala ngero na gbera gelela ga kumetana gadi kine sana kine de toto duruna ku ebani kadina ga na be anga ko na plastering na po plastering onionga ngaji ku kilo na meme da skul na kara kine oroni kine beti angbana na lo logu na mino kina jongare skul na kwekele yala ga na gbo kumetana gadi do yi kilo ipirna ga be town kina gbedi gbera ibugo kuna kadine enaga do ngero yo ku jonda mutu ipona pangisa ya magbera kiko na dan ruminyo sendeta ya mana gbera ku kiko la gadi odo kina galede kiko la gadi mana konini business imedena adi mana toko dubali lo mati ngero na gbo kunyola do mana gadi kine sena TPDM kine aku jaki adi kine sene kuna ti government ni bai kine senda jaki kutodu doyi yanaga kiti kure na kine sena kine ku yaki elaga piripiri kia yakija piripiri ibe gbera kumetela gadi ibangelo kingaji mani mukana la kile katani yi iwu dala fulika ngalo amiso nalo kuliana gadi kasi kekene kine sene kine ti government kine sene kine nyo kine kayanga kine jaki kutodu doyi kedi ko ati government ado mo kitiki ku bangela ga lojo benade so ki la gbera ku yola gadi kine ti government yan ke ganyo dudo kaya di dingitani ki kena kayanga yi dududo nalo maguna gadi ikinga jelaga mukana kilo dekatani ki gbedi ku usesi benaga mana sulje meda ikuduna mana kudinno ine katani amiso nalo kuliana gadi kutiki amonya laga yore kaguta Museveni yeta duma yelele patiki ne toliba itoliba na le patiki na de atiki na igbo ku freedom laga kuliana bwiko na kine ko kona sala ya mindini
so kine re de malipuni na ugasoti ngota subcounty na taki sonyundo ngutu lukani de ngutu be parish chief so karanga jonga jide a lumbi togole duga pona kana ga ngutu klo ku pondi so kalepe atunda meeting la parish level so matunda duga kula na gai government asundo program ne de nalungu na PDM sende kine sunya na logo i parisini so minna gai ngutu klo ku bedi group o ma sunyundi ma pondi nde na kurumbi ni kana group ya sulija jo so duga bedi dumado na gadi so ka bene ile so ikilo group domindi kiwi tiki karika yake i program na ne katai so nyena mai jonga dini kana group yi register ni beri katai.
Meet Mambo Ashraf, the local council chairperson, Koboko. He says the enterprise group members' lives have been transformed by the PDM initiative.
And PDM has reduced cases in the community of financial institutions that have been charging exorbitant rates in terms of their loans. Now women have understood that if you borrow 1 million, at the end of the period you are taking 1,060,000. They compared with other financial institutions, the money lending institutions, the PDM is far better, and it has given more anxiety among the population for this money. As our district politically